All right. Welcome, students, to Academic Enrichment. I am extremely glad to have you in this class. It's going to be a really fun year. And before we really get started with the year, I wanted to go over just some basics of the class. What is it? What's different about it from previous school years if you've been in an academic team fifth period class before? And just kind of give you an overview that you can look over if you're a little bit confused about anything later on. Our class this year is called Academic Enrichment, or sometimes Academic Enrichment plus Academic Team, because really we want to take a more broad approach looking at academics as a whole rather than just academic team. Academic team is extremely important to me, and that'll be a big focus of the class. We'll be preparing you for academic team or other academic competitions like Quiz Bowl, but I want the focus of the class to be more about you. What do you want to learn? What do you want to enrich yourself with? Let's get started. What is this class? For the past several years, SCMS has had a class for students who join the academic team. This year, we've opened up the class to include more students. I believe right now there's about 60 in this class, and we'll probably add somewhere around 10 more as the school year goes on. You were likely asked to join this class if you tried out for the academic team before the end of the school year last year and scored in the top tier of your grade or subject area. So maybe you took a test in language arts and you were in the top 2 of the 7th grade. Well, we added you to this class because of that. Maybe you have a GT designation in a specific subject area. Example, maybe you are GT Math. If that's the case, you were probably asked to join this class. If you are GT in something like general knowledge, creative thinking, or leadership, that's great. And Mrs. Hinton is going to be working with a lot of those students this year. But we wanted to focus specifically on those individual subject areas because I feel like that's something that we can help with. We have 3 teachers this year for the first time ever that are going to be directly involved with the class. I'm going to be working probably mostly with students on language arts, arts and humanities, and social studies, because those are 3 areas that I really care about and that I have a decent amount of knowledge on. We also have Mrs. Gross, who's going to be working with students in math. She's an extremely good math teacher and probably makes math more fun than just about any other teacher that I've heard of. And we have Mrs. Atkins, who is an expert at science and has a lot of knowledge about future problem solving that I've never been very great at. So we're extremely glad to have her too. Another reason why you might be in this class is just because you were recommended for the class by another teacher. Maybe they said, oh, you have to have so-and-so in your class because they're awesome at social studies. If that's the case, I took a lot of teachers' advice and I added you to this class. And I'm really glad to have everybody that's here. It says SCMS is expanding our class offerings to give students gifted in specific subject areas more options. Like I said earlier, Mrs. Hinton is going to be working with GT students in a rotating 9 weeks class. You don't have to be a genius at all subject areas to fit in with this class. You may really enjoy language arts but struggle with math, and that's okay. This class is for anybody who has a subject area that they really excel at. You don't have to be perfect at everything. That's very, very rare. But if you are really good or you really lack one subject area, then you have a place with us. The class is split into 3 groups to place you with other students who have similar interest. And we'll probably split up sometime closer to September, after our first few weeks of school, when we get done with some beginning activities. But you'll be split up to work with other students who excel in a certain subject area, regardless of what grade they're in. Retreading a little bit, Mr. Collins, Mrs. Gross, and Mrs. Atkins will all teach a 5th period academic enrichment class during the school day. Sometimes the classes will work together, or we may switch students between classes, but you'll mostly stick with the teacher you're assigned. Classes will be made up of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and students will eat lunch with their grade level. At least that's the plan right now. If you've been in the class before, the structure really won't change a whole lot from what we've had in the past. It's just that we have 3 teachers, so we have a little bit more ability to split everybody up. Class focus. Students in the class will work mostly independently to complete goals related to their subject area. Students must work on study skills and keep up with chosen projects in order to succeed. This class will be very different in some ways from the 5th period classes taught for the rest of the school. There'll be less of a focus on improving reading and writing skill and more of a focus on students improving themselves in a chosen subject area. I honestly expect just about everybody in this class to have a pretty solid foundation in reading and writing. And if it turns out to be the case that you don't, we'll do everything we can to help you out. Instead of focusing as much on ERQs and Reading Plus as in the other fifth period classes, you'll be focusing on whatever matters to you, be that math. If you're a student who loves math, you're going to have a lot more time to work on math because you're going to have a fifth period class devoted to it every day, where you'll have Mrs. Gross there to help you out. As I said just a moment ago, students will spend significantly less time working on Reading Plus in this class than they would in other fifth period classes, but you'll still have weekly goals. We still will do Reading Plus once a week at least. You'll be expected to probably get one combo every week. If you're not familiar with Reading Plus, as in you're a sixth grader who's maybe not worked with it before, or you're new to the district, it's really pretty easy. It just requires a little bit of a time investment every week. We'll occasionally also do ERQs like the other classes, but we definitely won't be doing them every single week. And again, if we find that you are struggling with those ERQs and we think that you need to do more of them, we can make that happen. But I think most people will have a pretty good base already. Academic team. The SCMS academic team allows students to showcase their individual strengths and gives them a chance to compete against students from other schools around the state. All students in this class are eligible to compete as part of the SCMS academic team in the spring, and you will be encouraged to take part in things like Quiz Bowl and other academic competitions throughout the year in areas like writing competitions, the history and geography bees, and math counts, which should all be happening again this year. Students will frequently take academic team, Quiz Bowl, and other styles of tests in the class to both measure your growth and give you an idea if this type of competition is good for you. Now, I've talked to a whole lot of students who are really excited about the competitive aspect. They're in this class specifically because they want to be on the academic team and they want to be on quick recall, or they want to take tests for the academic team, and that's awesome. I know that there's some of you who probably could care less about the competitive aspects of this class. You don't really want to get involved with academic team, or maybe you don't really know exactly what that even is. Well, we'll show you what it is. You won't be forced into doing anything. A lot of these competitions really just come down to sitting and taking a test. And if you are better at that test than everybody else, then you win, or you help whatever the team is win. And really, I think a lot of people don't expect those competitions to really be that simple. They think that they have to be standing in front of a huge group of people, hitting a buzzer and answering questions super quick. And no, that's only a subset of academic team and other competitions. It's definitely something that Mr. Collins didn't excel at whenever he was on the academic team in middle and high school. Not very quick on the buzzers, but able to do the test pretty well. And if you're able to test pretty well in a subject area, we need you for these competitions. Other schools in the district, in the region, and the state talk about Spencer County now and about how awesome the academic team and some of our other academic areas are. And now that we have the biggest group ever possible, really, for us to teach, we hope that those competitions just get better and better. It says learning goals and focus areas are structured off of those created by the Kentucky Association for Academic Competition, or KAAC, and will help students find growth areas in their favorite subject areas while also preparing them to take part in competitions if they choose to do so. Now, let's look at student goals. Teachers and coaches have worked to put together goals for students in each subject area studied. This is where our class will be a little bit different than in previous years. These goals have been created based on student feedback, consultation with other teachers, and in observing what works and what doesn't work in group settings like this. Goal completion requires some level of student ability to work independently. If you can't work independently in this class, it's not going to go extremely well for you, and it might not really be the right place for you. We try to take account that you may have a different learning style than someone else. Some people learn visually. Some people need to hear things. In that case, we've tried to build in something for everybody. We have some goals that may focus more on recalling knowledge, while others ask students to analyze something deeper or to create something. Each class group will go about this differently. and teachers will explain more in the coming days, but our focus is going to be more on short goals that you try to accomplish over the course of a week or two. It could be something as simple as read a Newbery medal winning novel, or it could be as complex as, carrying out some sort of lab for science and recording it and posting it for teachers and other students to look at and see your experiment. But whatever it is, I want it to be something that you personally find interesting. And if you get your list of goals coming up here in the next few weeks and you don't see a subject area or a part of your subject area that looks super interesting, come up with a goal yourself. Let your teachers know, and maybe we can build something in that you find interesting. Next, I need to talk about after-school enrichment. Previous years, we've had practices Monday through Thursday completely devoted to academic team practice, usually quick recall. While we'll still be doing that a whole lot of days, this is going to be opened up a little bit more. Students in this class will have access to after-school enrichment opportunities during the 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. time frame before the start of Grizzlies Beyond the Bell. So if you're not familiar with Grizzlies Beyond the Bell, it's an after-school program SCMS has available to all students. Students can sign up for a wide variety of clubs and activities that take place starting at 4 p.m., and SCMS has had years where over 90% of the student population has participated in at least one weekly GBB club or other concurrent after-school activity, that should say, rather. You don't have to be super involved with GBB, but we really encourage every student in our class and on our team to find one after-school club in GBB that they think is interesting and to attend whatever that is, because there's areas that should appeal to just about every interest or subject area. Instead of going to homework help, like you would if you were going to GBB on a normal day, you're welcome to come work with one of your academic enrichment teachers, either to practice for academic competitions or to work on something for the class. Maybe you have a project that you don't really have time to work on during school. You can come work with one of us, and we'll either be helping students in that area, or we'll be running something like quick recall practice, or helping students prepare for something like the geography bee. Whatever it is, at least one of us, myself, Mrs. Atkins, or Mrs. Gross, should be here after school Monday through Thursday, every day of the week, besides Friday, because nobody wants to stay after school on Friday. After school enrichment continued. Like I said, we'll be here Monday through Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. During that time, we'll work on quick recall. We'll have labs available for students to work on goals. There will again be after-school workshops. So if you worked last year, maybe with Mrs. Gross for math workshops or with Mrs. Kennedy for writing, we plan on still having those for students that really want to focus on that. And Mrs. Atkins will be doing some future problem-solving team practice with the students who are interested in that. Students are not required to attend after-school enrichment every day, but are strongly expected to try to come at least once or twice each week, especially if you are one of those students who wants to, be active in the academic team, or you want to participate in some other competition. If you don't come to practice, you're not going to be ready for whatever the competition is. So we'd really like for you to pick at least one day each week where you can be there after school. Grizzlies Beyond the Bell does provide some aspects of transportation for students who need it. Parents, if you have a question about how to make that happen, let us know and we can try to help you work something out. A full schedule of after-school activities will be available to students around the start of Grizzlies Beyond the Bell, which I was told today is going to start somewhere around September 3rd. We'll probably start academic team, after-school enrichment, all that stuff right around that time as well. Still going with after-school enrichment. Let's say you play a sport. The academic team has always been able to work well in coordinating with other school activities like sports and drama. This year should be the same. You can participate in any sport or team and still participate in academic team or other groups related to SCMS academics. You should be able to do any of the competitive stuff with us, or make lab time, or whatever it is, to come and work with us at least one day a week and still play basketball or participate in drama or whatever it is. We're extremely glad to have you in the academic enrichment class this year. And if you have any other further questions, please ask any of your teachers here at any time. Parents, if you have a question, send me an email, send Mrs. Gross or Mrs. Atkins an email, and we'll try to help too. Let's have a great school year.